And a big welcome to everyone. New members, new listeners rather, and older listeners who've listened from the day one of A World Gone Mad podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Allen Wolf, Season 1, Episode 21, Blackjack. And I am in a fired up mood, angry, pissed off, growling mood. So we're going to try to contain it, but you're going to hear it during this episode. Let's get to several matters. This is a court week with news. It seems like everything is about the courts. The Hunter Biden trial is wrapping up as we speak. This is a Monday when I'm recording this. You're going to hear this late Monday night, Tuesday morning. I doubt any decisions will have been made on this trial. But basically, this stems from a 2018 possession of a gun while abusing or being addicted to drugs. That's apparently what this case is about. So the defense rested without calling Hunter Biden to the stand. We didn't really think they would. Now there's going to be closing arguments going to the 12-jury member. And if found guilty, Hunter Biden would be the first son of a sitting president convicted in federal court. His punishment will be solely up to the judge. He could face up to 25 years in prison if convicted in all three counts. Now, before I get into this, let me preface something very quickly. I've had a couple of members on my Facebook group, or rather part of the listening audience of the podcast, who are Republicans. And anytime I talked about Trump, they would write me, email me, whatever, and say, what about ... What about Hillary? What about the crackhead Hunter Biden, as one Republican put it? And I wrote back and said, I'm talking about Trump. When I talk about those people, I will talk about those people. Well, you're avoiding it. No, I'm not avoiding it. But if I'm talking about steak, I don't need to bring up seafood. Well, now let's talk about Hunter Biden. Let's be fair. This case would have never been brought up before because these type of cases really do not get prosecuted as they are being done today. This is because Hunter Biden is the son of the president and because of Trump's cases pending or have finished against him. The recent trial with 34 convictions, the upcoming trials that are on hold. Other than that, this case would have never come to the courts. Be that what it may, saying that and getting it out of the way, let's talk about Hunter Biden, okay? I will commend President Biden for saying, when he was asked, will you pardon your son? And he said, no. Bravo to you, President Biden. You shouldn't, okay? But we're spending more time on the Hunter Biden case than protecting our damn children in schools. Hey, Congress, what about gun laws? What about things that need to be done to protect all of these shootings, yet you're putting your energy and time to go tit for tat, we're going to go after Hunter Biden because you went after our beloved Donald Trump, the saint, the lover and bringer of all good things to our country to make it great again, but you won't do gun laws. Seriously? You won't protect our children. You won't do what's needed in Congress. Yet we're going to take the time to prosecute the president's son because we have to do something because of what you did. Deep, deep shame to you, men and women who are supposed to be doing the job of this country to protect our children and protect our citizens. Now, I want to be crystal clear. For me, the case hinges on if he used drugs when he purchased a gun, he's guilty. If Hunter Biden wasn't addicted to drugs at that moment in time when he purchased a gun, he's not guilty. He'll either be found guilty or not guilty, and that's where it stands. But this over gun laws? Wow. Another court-related or justice-related story. Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas this past Friday formally disclosed a 2019 trip to Indonesia paid for by GOP mega donor Harlan Crow, a vacation that was at the center of the controversy over his travel. The trip to Bali was the focus of the original report in ProPublica last year that triggered months of headlines about posh travel accepted by justices. Though the news organization's reporting raised awareness of the trip, Thomas did not formally disclose it on his previous reports. Excuse me, let me take a moment for Justice Thomas. Wow. Way to go, Clarence. You told us about something you should have told us about before. Disclosing stuff that you got money for when you shouldn't have taken, and you finally did it. I guess, sarcastically, better late than never. More court shenanigans. A federal judge revoked the bail for Mr. Steve Bannon, the political strategist and BS artist, and former White House aide to former President Donny Boy, and ordered him to report to federal prison for his contempt of Congress conviction by July 1st. Now, Bannon was convicted, if you remember, in July 2022 for defying a subpoena during the House investigation of the Capitol attack on January 6th. 2021. He was sentenced to 4 months in prison, fined $6,500, remained free while he appealed the conviction to the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals. Now, a 3-judge panel upheld the conviction unanimously this past May 10th. U.S. Attorney Matthew Graves urged U.S. District Judge Carl Nichols to lock up Bannon because he is unlikely to reverse the verdict or win a new trial. Bannon's lawyer, David Schoen, argued Nichols had no authority to jail Bannon, and doing so would be gravely unjust and unfair. Some of you may not be aware of this, but did you see Bannon several times in court that he couldn't contain himself? The judge finally told him, "Sit down, Mr. Bannon, and be quiet." And he just kept going again like Donald and everyone else. I'm above the law, basically, attitude-wise. I can do whatever I want. Sit down, Mr. Bannon. Well, when that trial or courtroom decision was over about you have to report to prison, Bannon told reporters outside the courthouse he would ask the, the Supreme Court to intervene, alleging his prosecution was politically motivated. Steve Bannon said, "All this is about one thing, shutting down the MAGA movement," Bannon said, referring to Trump's Make America Great slogan. And then he said the thing that I thought was funny. I had to laugh. And again, I'm not a person who's very vindictive to people, but Steve Bannon, if you know Steve Bannon, his BS, his attitude, he's above it all. Like Donald, they get along simpatico, right? "There's no prison that can keep me from saying what I want. There's no prison that will stop me from talking." Bannon in the courtroom and outside yelling about how everything is unfair. I love it. Finally, some justice from some of these clowns who just try to scream out loud to get people to support them because they don't like the system that's in place. They don't believe in justice. They don't care about anything about this country despite what they say. Go away, Steve. Like Rudy and others, bye-bye. Enough is enough. Here's another frustrating court situation. A Georgia appeals court has halted the election subversion conspiracy case against Donald Trump. Several of his co-defendants also. A massive victory for the former president. And the new order filed this past Wednesday from the Georgia Court of Appeals is the latest indication that a trial in the state-level Georgia election subversion case will not occur before the presidential election. The appeals court is expected to rule on this case about Fani Willis being disqualified, March 2025. Though it possibly could issue a ruling sooner when hell freezes over. I love it. All of these cases put on hold. Everything being done to protect Donald because they're scared about Donald going to prison. And another decision in another courtroom case. Right-wing conspiracy theorist Alex Jones was told on Thursday he had to move to liquidate his personal assets and agreed to demands from the families of Sandy Hook victims who he owes, because they ruled against him, more than $1.5 billion in damages over his lies about the 2012 massacre. This seismic move paves the way for a future in which Jones no longer owns InfoWars, his website that, spouts lies, the influential conspiracy empire he founded in the late 1990s. Over the years, Jones has not only used that media company to poison the public discourse with vile lies and conspiracy theories, but also to enrich himself to the tune of millions of dollars. Prior to this past Thursday, Jones had resisted converting his personal bankruptcy into a Chapter 7 liquidation, but he was facing mounting legal pressure. He reversed course, caved to the demands of the Sandy Hook families, who have still not seen a penny from Jones since juries in Connecticut and Texas found him liable in 2022. His lawyers said in a filing that there was no reasonable prospect for a successful reorganization. Guess what, Alex? Some info news for you for InfoWars. You have to pay up, dude. $1.5 billion. Figure it out. Live on food stamps and macaroni and cheese, but you owe the Sandy Hook family surviving members for all your crap and all your lies you did to that family. You owe them money. Good. Justice again. All of us listening. Ding, ding, ding. Ring the bell of justice. See, Alex? Sometimes you can't win everything. And the disgust keeps happening, with former President Donald Trump is again suggesting he would try to prosecute his political opponents if he's elected to a second term, as he rails against his criminal conviction of New York. And what Donald said, and I know people hate me giving him airspace, but you need to hear the words from Donald so you're aware of how dangerous he is. Donald said, "Look, when this election is over, based on what they've done, I would have every right to go after them, and it would be easy because it's Joe Biden," he told Fox News' Sean Look at Me Only Hannity on Wednesday when pressed on whether he would use the justice system to go after his political opponents. "It's a terrible, terrible path that they're leading us to. It's very possible it's going to happen to them," Trump said in an interview. Trump keeps talking about prosecuting people. His supporters keep saying, get a list of the top 10 political opponents and get them in prison or get rid of them or kill them or what. Dangerous. People, dangerous. We know it. The listening audience knows it. The MAGA supporters out there, the people rallying around Donald don't get it. He's dangerous. He's dangerous. Pay attention. He's telling you exactly who he is. I'm going to take a short break. Before I do, we have the Facebook group, A World Gone Mad Podcast. Join it. If you're not there, get your rear end over there and join a lot of members like yourself who are fed up, sick and tired what's going on. A World Gone Mad Podcast on Facebook. We have the phone number if you have any feedback, you disagree with what I'm saying, you agree, 833-399-9653. Use it. It's free. It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, toll free. When I come back, I'm going to talk about how the world just made a sharp right turn with all the election results that just happened a few days ago. I will be right back. This is a world gone mad. This is a world gone mad. You're listening to A World Gone Mad. Thank you. And you could reach me by sending me an email. And the email is aworldgonemadpodcast, aworldgonemadpodcast @gmail.com. Leave your first name in the email, your age, your location, where you're, listening to us from, what app, etc., and any comments you have. Also, don't forget to hit subscribe. That way I can let you know when the new episode goes online. It's automatic and it's free. Also, if you can review, rate, rank the show on the app you're listening from, that helps me tremendously. I thank you for listening, whether you just joined us for the first time or have been listening for a while. I appreciate that. And now, back to the show. This is a world gone And welcome back to A World Gone Mad. I'm Jeff Allen Wolf, your host. And I mentioned before the break that the world took a right turn. What do I mean by that? Well, there were a lot of elections that happened around the world. And unfortunately, far-right parties have won a record number of seats in the European Parliament. A result that, if they confirm those numbers, would deliver a stinging rebuke to Brussels' political mainstream and add uncertainty to Europe's future direction. So this past week, after 3 days of voting across the European Union's 27 member states, an exit poll had showed that far-right parties were set to win around 150 of the Parliament's 720 seats, which will likely make it harder for the mainstream parties to form majorities intended to pass laws. So because of these results, French President Emmanuel Macron has dissolved his country's parliament and called for snap elections. There was a ramification upon ramification. In other similar news, the Belgian Prime Minister resigned after his party suffered huge losses in national and European elections. The world is turning far right, with more far right members. Think in terms of like MAGA people for Trump in the European Parliament. What does this mean? Who cares, Jeff? What does it have to do with us? Well, those of the listeners that are informed and understand ramifications worldwide realize this is bad, okay? This is important, that the world is turning right when we have a major election coming up in our country against President Biden and Donald Trump. And I want to say something here, and I had posted something on my Facebook group, something about Donald Trump, and it was an exit poll, actually, of the members of different Facebook groups in my group. And I asked everyone, what's the weirdest, stupidest, dumbest thing that Donald has done since you've seen him, in the public eye? He got a massive amount of replies. And one lady wrote me, this is supposedly a Democrat, wrote me and said, "You're so obsessed over Donald." And I wrote back, "No, I'm not obsessed. You're just not taking Donald Trump as seriously as you should right now if he gets back in power with just what happened with the European vote with the right turning results, right? This country and the world at large is in deep crap. So think about this. It's not an obsession about Donald. We're just understanding we're not taking him lightly. Oh, Donald's Donald. I have a family member I don't talk to anymore, and she said, I just like Donald. This is many years ago, before he became president. I like what he says, and he just says things off the top of his brain. That's dangerous. That's scary. This is a person who'll have the levers of power again in the White House, the nuclear codes. He will dismantle every department from education to justice to you name it, EPA, everything. And we have the world turning right with the votes. And that confluence, that meeting of the minds with all these right-leaning people is devastating for the world, its citizens of the other countries, and us in the United States. And that's why when Donald says something, we can't take these things lightly. And Donald just said, and someone sent me a meme and a video. Oh my God, did you see what happened? Donald said in front of a rally, I don't care about you, I just want your vote. And everyone went, oh, listen to all the other podcasters. Listen to all the talkers. Look what Donald said. This is terrible. Guys, relax. Yeah, it's disgusting what he said. We don't care about you. I just want your vote. Donald's telling you the truth. Donald's saying, F you. You don't count. I got it. I think my listening audience gets it. So to point me to other podcasters and point me to other talking people and journalists about this, relax, I got it. Donald says the same stuff he always says for years. Either he believes it and or he creates a effervescent, powerful explosion among his MAGA supporters. Relax. We have to stay diligent. We have to vote. We have to get out. We have to support each other. And with that in mind, I ask you to support this podcast. Can you share this with everyone? Please. 5 people. The people listening to this podcast right now, if you're not a member of my Facebook group, please join. If you are, thank you. If you're already a member, can you share it with 5 people and get 5 new listeners to listen to this podcast and click subscribe? And all of you who haven't clicked subscribe yet, some of you said to me, "Where's the new podcast link?" I'm not posting a link to everyone, people. I can't do that. It's impossible for me. It takes hours. Just subscribe and hit follow. It's free. It's on the app, whether it be Spotify, Apple, iHeart. Please do that. And rate and rank the show. Some of I think Apple has, you can leave comments and rankings. Spotify, you can only leave a rank. Can you leave a ranking? It moves me up the charts. I need your support as a fellow Democrat or someone who may not be a Democrat, maybe an independent and a Republican who hates Donald and his MAGA supporters. I thank you for your continuing support. I will be back next week with more stuff in the world where we're going mad. This is A World Gone Mad. I am your host, Jeff Allen Wolf. Until next time, stay hopeful.